All right, well, here is what I am working on. Some Sphyr Keepers. So I painted my Sphyr team years ago now to take to my very first Adepticon, and I didn't paint the Keepers. I didn't need them. At the time, you can only really play with the default roster in a tournament anyway, and so I painted the default team along with two prone miniatures. Here is the guard I painted originally. And I have him out just as a reminder of the color scheme that I used. Although I did write down, I try to always write down all the paints and the techniques that I used. For example, I had forgotten that I did not do a wash on the orange part of these guys. Otherwise, I probably would have thrown a wash on just because it's easy to do, and I always like the look of it. Yeah. So these guys are coming along pretty well. They're mostly base coated. I started with the blue, and yeah, I don't know which way's up on this. Anyway, I started with the blue and hit it with a couple of washes to sort of add the shadows. I then did the purple. It's what I had. I might have done the orange first, but I was out of that color. I had to go get some. It's a Games Workshop paint. I normally use Army Painter paints, but for whatever reason that I don't remember, probably I just had some of this orange laying around at the time, and I used it. It used to be called Blazing Orange. It's now called Troll Slayer Orange. So I went out and got some of that last night, and I painted the orange. The purple also has a wash of Army Painter purple tone on it. And so the next step that I may do tonight is I have to touch up all the metal, the gray, on their armor. Just because here and there I've hit it with the purple and the orange and the blue as I've put those colors on. So yeah, I've got to clean it up. One of the things I like about one of these guys, I think it's probably this one, is when I first assembled him, I assembled these guys and primed them at the same time I painted the originals years ago. But I thought, well, the way these ones came, the season 4, 5, and 6 DreadBall minis, the guards basically came with swappable heads and arms to make the keepers. And I thought, well, I only have a limited number, so I'm going to magnetize the heads and arms so that I can swap them, change a guard into a keeper. And I did that on this guy. So his arm comes off, and his head pops off. And then I have the guard arm, which just pops right on there, and the guard head, which just should just there slots right in. There's a magnet, and so it works great. It's, you know, the arm goes on. I mean, it's a little bit wobbly if you really want to play with it. But, you know, once you get it on there, it's, you know, it's not going to fall off. And I did that, and it's great, but it was a lot of work, you know, gluing and drilling and fitting and refitting and making sure it all works. And I decided I'm not going to do that on, you know, all 4 of my guard / keepers. So I did it on this one. Not this guy. If his head came off now, I'd be really annoyed because it would have meant I just ripped his head off. So yeah, I'm painting the arms and the heads for this guy sort of separate, but simultaneously so that the colors match. And yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, I was sort of thinking when I take his arm and his head off, It's nice to, it's easy to paint sort of around the collar, around his neck, and around the arm, get in all the creases there. Sort of makes me think I should paint more minis in parts before I assemble them. But for the most part, I don't do that. I don't know, I glue them all together, I glue them on the base, and then I paint them, and, so there's areas that are hard to reach, there's areas that are hard to reach. Usually if they're hard to reach, they're also hard to see, and you don't see them all that often. Like this guy here, I'm painting a nameless for Dead Zone, and I mean, he's already glued on the base, and but you're not going to see underneath him all that much. Like, who's going to, other than picking it up and looking at the paint job, you're not going to see in all the little cracks and crannies. So even if it's hard to get in there with the brush, it's not that big a deal. Anyway, hopefully you could make out the minis and hear me well enough and see what I'm talking about. I haven't really done this setup. I'm just sort of trying out my camera setup, see if I can get the camera up over the DreadBall pitch. Not sure how much of it you can see. Hopefully at least the centery area, maybe not the edges. And anyway, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll do another one of these, maybe I won't. Bye.